This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in. Oh, there's Pierre Noujaim, Fox 9, Minneapolis. We have a lot planned for Pierre today. You and I did not see each other for a couple weeks, so last week was kind of a catch-up. Which didn't finish. At the end of the show, we're going to talk about the Challenge All-Stars and how we feel about that. And that's a very important discussion piece.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
when are you going to the Challenge Mania?
It was actually over the weekend. It already happened. It was on Saturday. Met 6 members of the cast. It was really, really cool. Highlighted by the Godfather himself, Mark Long, who was just an absolute delight, and met a handful of other people. It was very entertaining. It was cool.
Do we have potential to get any of them on?
I'm telling you, Mark Long, I think would probably come on. I think he would. I'm going to see if I can work that at one point or another.
Okay.
But he was great. Got to talk a little WrestleMania with him as well. It was just terrific. Dr. Paulie Calafiore, who was also great as well. Former athlete, playing in that 7v7, that soccer tournament, that 7v7 tournament they play every summer. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Fessy, a former college football player, the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Yeah. So it was cool.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, Fessy's one of my favorites actually right now.
Is that right?
Yeah. We'll talk about it later. I'm very entertained by Fessy because he's like slowly getting smarter and better at the game.
Yeah.
But early on, his problem was he's dominating, but he's banging this girl. And it clouds his judgment. So then he winds up getting thrown into elimination because, and losing because he takes all right, I'm going to take a shot at Jordan. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, that's mistake number one.
Yeah,
mistake
don't do
right there.
Yeah,
had some hard luck in the finals too, but I think he's so it was. We'll talk about it later. Actually, I'll leave it for
we'll talk about it later. So I'm going to start out. We'll do NFL Combine in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll do that in the middle because that's this week. And but I want to start out with Pierre. You are a brand new San Diego Padres fan.
I don't know if I would take it that far. It's just more of I'm still in recovery mode. It's like after you have a breakup, after a really a long relationship, and it's just you don't really kind of want to go out with anybody or see anybody or do anything. And maybe you have your eye on somebody from afar, but you just don't have it in you.
Okay.
So
here's what we're going to do. We're going to help you off on the rebound here.
Yeah.
Fine. And look, if it winds up not being the Padres and we have to move on, we'll just swipe left and keep going. All right. Okay. We'll just swipe left. And then until we get to somebody that we swipe right on. That's what we'll do. But for right now, I think 2025 baseball season, let's focus on the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
And the reason we came to that is when we talked about it before, once you and the A's broke up. Yeah. Because they're no longer really that anymore. They're not the Oakland A's. The owner has basically told the fans of the A's he doesn't want you anymore.
Well,
he wants new fans. He wants different fans. He wants something different.
On top of that, too, I kind of view it a little bit as a high school relationship, too, where the parents of the girl that you're dating don't want you to be together either. Major League Baseball absolutely plays a role in this as well, no doubt about it. So that's what it feels like.
But you are a passionate baseball fan. I know this about you.
Yeah.
And so I don't want you to leave that love for a sport that I also love unrequited. I want something back. And here's what I know about the Padres. They're not leaving. They have the best situation. They're great. They're now San Diego's team, because the Chargers left them. The Padres are going to live in San Diego. And if somebody bought them and said, I would like to move this perfect ballpark out of the most perfect place in the world and not have the Padres there, that person should be thrown in jail.
Yes, agreed.
Bottom line. Like that shouldn't happen. So we're going to start out building your Padres fandom. And the first thing we have to do, though, is we have to figure out, like, who are your totems, your tent pole Padres that we're going to build around. Yeah. And I've come up with a couple metrics for that. One would be we'll go through your favorite all-time Padre, your favorite all-time Padre who's not a Hall of Famer. Like, that way it's not obvious. Like, I'll just use the example. If your favorite all-time Padre is Tony Gwynn, that's fine, but that's everybody's favorite all-time Padre. Right. You don't want to be a basic bitch, okay? Right. We want you to fit in. Like, we want you to have something that's different. So, you can have a Hall of Fame favorite, like the all-time greatest. For me and the Red Sox, it's Big Papi. Like, it'll always be Big Papi, and then I'll have current Flames who come and go, and then I have people like Kevin Millar and, Curt Schilling and I really hit it off in New Orleans.
Really did, surprisingly.
We really hit it off. We do not agree on anything politically, I'll tell you that. But Curt Schilling and I could have beers. Yeah. We could. And I know that, like, a lot of people are like, that guy's kind of he can be kind of a lot. But we hit it off. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just, I'm more accepting of people in general. I don't know. But, listen, my bloody sock buddy there, like, he and I hit it off. Joe Kelly, former Red Sox. Sure. He and I, like, it was hard to part for both of us, I think.
Best interview I've ever heard you do, hands down.
Yeah.
And that's saying something. That is saying something.
Yeah. We connected on a real level.
Did you get the feeling from him too that, like, when the interview was over, that he had the feeling of, like, oh, I could go on for another 2 hours?
Yeah. No, we
had to stop him.
We had to stop him, and then, like, his PR guy, and then he and I, like, walked and talked. Yeah. Well, he went to the next thing, so So he just loves baseball. Like, that's the thing about him. So you have those kind of guys, like. Like I said, like Bill Miller. I love Bill Miller. I love Mark Bellhorn, like those kind of, like, people who were part of it. Johnny Damon's always going to be big for me.
Was Miller? I think Miller was. Correct me if I'm wrong, because the Netflix documentary about their comeback with the Yankees and everything, was Miller heavily featured on that? Was he talking? I can't remember if he was prominent.
Yeah, he was in it.
There was somebody that was in it that I was like, wow, this guy's really good on camera.
Oh no, that's Kevin Millar.
Well, yeah, Millar. Yeah, that probably I'm thinking Millar, who has
Millar, because Millar's been on MLB Network.
MLB Network, yeah.
He's that's the dude. That's the dude I've always wanted to be like. That's the one. Like, that's the one from that team I've always wanted to really meet
for sure.
Because he just, again, but he's also, like, everybody has a Kevin Millar in their life where, like, oh, barbecue at Kevin's? Hell yeah. He seems like kind of guy, like, he's got a really cool pool. Like, his man cave has, like, 8 TVs in it. You can just watch all the games. Like, that seems like Kevin Millar, And then he'll have some, like, random friend. Like, you'd be there with a bunch of, like, baseball players, which is really cool. And then he'd be like, oh, yeah, by the way, George Strait's here. I didn't know. Like, he just came by. He seems to be, like, have one of those, like, random friends like that where it's like, oh, yeah, you didn't know that John Cena and I have been friends for, like, ever? Like, oh, okay. Yeah, that would be Kevin Millar. But he's like the Weird Al of baseball. I don't know if you know about Weird Al Yankovic, but, like, when you hear all these people talk about, like, oh, well, Weird Al Yankovic's a great friend of mine, and you're like, wait, how? Like, how do you two, like, how have you two walked in these worlds together, and then all of a sudden you're, like, really good friends? Or, like, I hear Weird Al, like, oh yeah, no, I was, me and Barack Obama the other day were playing 9. And you're like, what? Wait a minute.
The guy who is going to be the best man at my wedding, his neighbor is actually like that with Tim Duncan. Believe it or not.
Oh my gosh,
he's exactly like that with Tim Duncan, from what I hear.
Yeah, like, it's funny because you just, like, but there's no, like, direct connection to that. You're just like, well, I'm friends with, like, What do you mean? Yeah, I'm friends. Our kids go to the same school. We like the same stuff, and
they're just people, Paul.
Yeah,
they're
I know. Like, but you're like, how would you even have intersected with each other? Like those kind of things. So we're going to dive into that and build your totems up for you. And when people ask, you can have an easy transition. Like Ricky Henderson was a Padre for 2 years. I'm pretty sure he's one of your favorite. Who is your favorite all-time Oakland A?
Yeah, it's probably Ricky. Ricky is definitely up there. When Eric Chavez was healthy, Eric Chavez was about as good as it gets at third base. And Tejada, and it's tough to pick like one favorite. But even though this might be unpopular in A's land, given the way he left, but Jason Giambi was just an absolute beast on that team back in the day. Yeah. So I still have a soft spot in my heart for Jason Giambi for sure.
Okay. So, but Ricky Henderson is a nice entry.
Probably number one.
He's like your nice entry point because he is to me, he's the greatest all-time Oakland A.
Yeah.
Even ahead of Reggie Jackson. I think Ricky Henderson, the greatest leadoff hitter and base stealer that will ever live. Ichiro, who's in my opinion the second best leadoff hitter, would tell you, I wish I was as good at leadoff hitting as Ricky Henderson was. And so that's an entry point for you if that's what makes you feel comfortable.
For sure.
But so who would you say is your all-time favorite Padre?
Oh, man. Well, it's funny because Miguel Tejada did play for the Padres at one point. But that seems like a little bit of a scapegoat answer. But and you said no Hall of Famers. So, even though, I know.
What you can pick two. You can pick like your favorite, like super great. Like I have David Ortiz.
I know that, there's, people will go with Tony Gwynn or Trevor Hoffman. Those are the easy answers. But for me, a guy who was pretty darn good back in the day, I'll give you two names. Ryan Klesko was a terrific player back in the day, but he was like kind of like that guy where he's like right there, like in the upper echelon, but maybe not in that 1A category type guy. Ryan Klesko was a great player. And for me, when he was in his prime and when he was healthy and when he was on, Jake Peavy was terrific.
Good one. Okay.
Jake Peavy was terrific on the mound. A guy, I think that, all the other teams would have loved to have on their team. I think a future Red Sox, if I'm remembering correctly.
He was, and he wasn't quite. He had kind of lost it. Well, he was welcome because he's intense, and so he's great for competition. He wasn't the Jake Peavy that he was when he was in San Diego when he was with Boston, but still valuable. So I was going to throw some out, but you've got some good ones. There's always and then you have one that's like your favorite that you wish you could have watched play because they were like before you were born. Yeah. So mine is Carl Yastrzemski, just ahead of Ted Williams.
Okay.
Even though like best left-handed hitter of all time, all that, but Carl Yastrzemski would be my one I wish I could have seen play. So the Padres weren't around for too long before you were alive.
Right.
So you this is a very narrow category. So I'm going to throw out a couple of names to you that might be easy for you. One, Raleigh Fingers.
Oh, yeah. Former A as well.
Yeah. Two, Goose Gossage.
Oh, that's yep.
Okay. Let's see. You were alive when Steve Garvey was playing, so that
Goose Gossage is a Hall of Famer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other one I was going to do, because of the connection to one of the great movies of all time, and just one random line, is Gene Tennis, the catcher, who, if you remember from Anchorman, that was the line of Gene Tennis at the plate, whammy!
Oh my gosh. I didn't even connect those two. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like, I feel like I've just that's a movie that is in my, top 5 all time. And I feel like I just watched it for the first time now. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Wow. That's a great name. Great name drop.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, so those are ones we'll leave that. You got to think about that and put it in a historical context of who you'd have liked to see play.
What's tough for me right now too, because I personally despise Manny Machado
Yeah.
So that's what kind of makes it a little bit tough for me, because he might be one of my most despised athletes in all of professional sports. I just can't stand the guy. But not to take anything away from how talented of a player he is, because he's absolutely an all-star talent and a guy who you absolutely need in your lineup every day to anchor that team. Tatis is about as exciting as it gets. But the tough part is too, how I feel about cheating. You know how I feel about it. It's that puts a scarlet letter on him for me, and that sucks, because he's just such a dynamic athlete and the type of athlete that the game craves these days.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm on a site called Ranker right now, which I've just discovered. And if the kids know what Ranker is, then congratulations. But it has like the 100 best San Diego Padres of all time. And like Tony Gwynn's number 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Trevor Hoffman at number 3. I'm moving Dave Winfield up.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I can't do I don't know if I ever, I was really alive during Dave Winfield's Padres run. I remember him much more with the Yankees and the Twins and all that. Dave Winfield is one of those guys who they, put him in the Ring of Honor, or, they put his jersey everywhere he played. He's not in the monuments with the Yankees, but he was a great player with the Yankees. But the Twins revere him as one of their own. I believe because he's from Minnesota originally.
I believe that's correct. I'd have to double check that, but I believe that's correct.
And then I'll tell you, I've been to 2 Padres games in my life. Both times, he is nearly as featured as Tony Gwynn is when they're talking about the great Padres. They want you to know that hey, Dave Winfield before all that Yankee bullcrap, he was here.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Before.
And we haven't even mentioned Adrian Gonzalez either.
Oh, yeah.
And, Adrian Gonzalez is probably a top 5 Padre of all time. I don't see how you could argue that.
I also went before this into the Padres message boards, which is not something I thought I would ever do.
Yeah.
Madfriars.com. And I really wanted to get to know the San Diego baseball fan.
Sure.
In a way that I didn't before, and message boards are a good way to know that. So I've done a lot of research on your part, because I want you to be invested. I want us to go to a game at Petco Park together. I'll even wear Padres gear with you.
It's terrific. I've only been there once, and that was 20 years ago, and I still remember it to this day, and it's just a terrific park. I was just, as we're talking about it now, I keep thinking to myself, could there be any better gig out there in the world than being a professional baseball player for the San Diego Padres? Where you live, where you get to play. It's just you'd have a hard time, finding a better gig than being a pro player for the San Diego Padres.
Oh my gosh, I would like to be a specialty lefty reliever.
Oh yeah. Oh, you'd never be out of a job.
Face as long as I kept my numbers the same and I got to free agency, I'd tell my agent, look, I'm not leaving. Maybe I'll make a run with the Red Sox, or I go and help somebody out, but they trade me, I'm coming back here when my contract's over. My house is here. Let's figure out how I can be a Padre for as long as possible.
No kidding.
No kidding. I like facing my 2 batters a night and then going and getting a steak and a whiskey down the street.
Oh yeah. I would tell my agent too. I mean, even professional athletes aren't immune to the rising costs of living in San Diego too. So I would make sure I'm getting paid at the same time.
Yeah.
But
it's
just a great park. It's a great city. I sign me up to be, if I'm ever blessed with a son, my goal is to make him a San Diego Padre for life if I can. He'll thank me later.
Yeah. No, I think there are certain gigs I think would be more fun as a parent than other gigs. I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes' family doesn't have a good time, but if he was a professional golfer that was really good, to me that would be more fun.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I don't have to worry about him winning every tournament. I just have to worry about him doing well. Know. Because it's impossible.
Absolutely impossible, yes.
Yeah. So, again, being the utility infielder for the Padres, $4 million a year, house in San Diego, get to play pretty much 4 days a week out of 6.
Yeah.
Rotating through, 275 hitter, a little bit of pop. I mean,
And you're playing the Dodgers and the Giants and the Diamondbacks, which is all like not technically close, but close enough to where you can just go up and down California pretty much almost the entire season. Don't have to go too far. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, look, being a Ranger and Astro is tough. You got to go out to Anaheim and now Sacramento, for God's sakes.
Yes. Yeah.
I say that about your hometown, but yeah.
Call me for the dining recommendations when everybody goes. Just call me.
Yeah. Well, like if I'm a Major League Baseball player, right? And again, I'm not knocking Sacramento.
No, I
want
get
you to know
it.
this. But if you're like, all right, well, what's the road trip? And you're like, all right, well, we got Seattle. Then we've got an interleague against San Francisco. We're gonna hop down to Anaheim, and then we're gonna come back and we're going to Sacramento. And you're like, the last one feels unnecessary to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, we've already had this. I shouldn't say we, but like the discussions have already been had about from the Players Association in terms of upkeep for the stadium and the clubhouse, like the requirements that you need for a Major League clubhouse. It's just I don't know how we've gotten here, Paul. I really don't. I mean, like you said, it's my hometown, and even I don't want anything to do with it in terms of talking about this.
Do you know who else? Like everybody in Sacramento was like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
honestly, they could have moved them to several other cities in the West, like from Texas West.
Yeah.
For that couple, like Portland would have been better. Of course, then Portland would try to probably keep them.
Sure.
But I don't know why you don't just move them out to Las Vegas and play in that minor league part to start out with. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's some logistics with that, but you could have put him in San Antonio really easily, and that would have been way better for everybody.
I am honestly, for a city that nearly lost its one and only professional team because they were on the doorstep of being moved themselves. To allow yourself to become a pawn in this game to facilitate a move of another professional team, to me is I'm disgusted by it. Mm-hmm. I'm truly, truly disgusted by the whole thing. And to allow yourself to be this, like I said, this doormat in terms of like, oh yeah, come hang out with us like for 3 years and then go ahead and go on to bigger and better things in Las Vegas. But it's just, I'm sickened by it. I really am. It upsets me a whole heck of a lot. And I still hold out hope to this day that everything just falls flat and they're just somehow forced to go back to Oakland.
Yeah. I love it. By the way, we did not mention one of my favorite Padres, which is Steve Finley.
Oh, wow. How did we not mention that?
Yeah. Great center fielder, good hitter. Yeah. Steve Finley was fun, played hard.
Did Marcus Giles play for the Padres?
Yeah. Or Brian Giles did.
Yeah.
So Brian Giles did.
Giles is good too,
yeah. So we've got a base here. We'll set up your totems, and then we'll check in. And you'll be like, hey, I don't know how you feel about Bogarts going back to shortstop.
Yeah.
Those are the things you need to get invested in.
100%.
Yeah. I'm glad Tatis is going to be there a full season, playing in the outfield, getting adjusted, and all that. So those are the talks that we need to have.
I'll come around eventually. I'll come around.
Luis Arez at second base, those kind of things.
He's a guy who I personally love. When he was a Twin, just one of my favorite guys to talk to. He is just second to none when it comes to interview. He's fantastic. I love Luis Arez. He's amazing.
Yeah. The pea shooter. That's what he is. He just just getting on base.
Guys, I talk about a guy who fit the mold of a baseball player 40, 50 years ago. Just gets up, does the job, doesn't have to hit home runs every time he's up there. Just get on base, and he does that better than anybody. Literally better than anybody in Major League Baseball right now. Luis Arez is getting on base.
Yeah, no, I love him. He's one of my favorite players.
Fantastic
because,
player.
he doesn't, he'll have 10 home runs in a season, and that's because somebody just left one fat, and he's like, I can do this.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
I'll take my cut, but if it's 2-0 in the count and somebody puts a fastball over here, he'll just poke it right out there, and he's on base. And now he's got Tatis and Machado and all these guys behind him.
Yep.
it's their job to bring him home, not his
100%.
job to get there. Yeah, like that.
What broke my heart when they traded him. I understand. It still turned out to be a pretty good trade because Pablo Lopez is a great pitcher in his own right, and he's a great guy to talk to as well. But broke my heart because Luis Arias was easily my favorite interview in that clubhouse. He was terrific. Love that guy.
Yeah. Baseball's also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, from our perspective as interviewers.
Yeah.
Football can be a little bit difficult because there's a lot of eyes on it. Although, like, if you really kind of can break down those walls, basketball it's like interviewing Paris Hilton all the time. Like, you get a lot of platitudes. Like, occasionally you get somebody who's that, but, like, it's a different thing. Like, NBA players all think they're Lady Gaga in one way or the other, right?
Right.
And it's fun. Like, you get a Dirk Nowitzki or an Anthony Edwards or, like, somebody sometime that's got, like, this to them, but most of them are like, well, like they just want to get it done with. But hockey, NHL players, and Major League Baseball players are kind of the same in this, in that they're kind of just up for anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you have your occasional guys in both baseball and hockey who are just going to be that way that you're just like, oh God, we got to talk to this guy again. But for the most part, you're right. Especially with baseball, because it's an everyday thing, because you see him like every day, and it becomes a little more casual and like a little more conversational, and they know you. And so you're right. Baseball and hockey players, I would say the hockey players, when they're off the mic, when the camera is off, that's when the real fun starts, like that with those guys, because they're just so much fun to talk to.
Well, I mean, like, the thing is, most hockey players are just normal dudes. Like, they're just normal dudes. Yeah. Like, there's not any kind of, I guess it's just the culture of the sport. Yeah. There's no kind of like, oh yeah, no, I can skate and I can shoot. Like, that's fine. But like, I brush my teeth one at a time, just like you know, like kind of a thing. Yeah.
They are bred to be, nobody is above the team. It's such a hardly like firmed mentality of
part of it also is because of the way like line changes work, just the sport works, is that you're not going to be on the ice the whole time.
No,
like you're coming off. Like you're going to come off and you're going to come back on, and you have to be in a mental space of this, like, this is failing because I'm not out there. Like, you can't do that. You just have to wait. Okay, now it's time to go do this. I saw this while I'm sitting over here. I got my water. I'm ready to go. I've learned, like, it's just, you don't have time to think about, like, that's why, like, Sidney Crosby's an all-time great. He didn't sit there on the bench and go, like, well, we're not scoring because I'm not out there. Yeah. He's out there going, oh, when I get back in, I'm going right at here. Like, this is what I do. Yeah.
It's the epitome of the we when we win and I when I lose, when we lose kind of mentality. Yeah. That sport is the epitome of that, without a doubt.
Yeah. And they had that's one of the reasons it's growing at me more and more over the years.
Did you watch last week with the Four Nations?
God, I loved every second of it. I loved it. Like, I mean, I didn't like that we lost, but I've never watched a game where the USA has lost at something where I went away going like, man, that was fun. Yeah, like that was terrific. Fun.
It was an absolute home run for the league and for the sport. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I know that had USA lost to France in the gold medal game last year.
Oh, God.
In basketball, I would have just been like, and even though I'm a big, huge Wemby fan as a Spurs guy, I'd have been like, they're like, their fans like, oh, look, the America and they cannot win. Oh.
Yeah. I would, and that team fears me of every Olympics now. I mean, with him playing for them, oh, God, I fear him on a daily basis.
Well, and then like the whole draft, the first like 6 picks of the draft last year were half of them were Frenchies.
Yeah.
And
correct.
So you got that. So like, 4 years from now, all those guys are going to be on the team too. It's just,
they're a power. They're already a power. They're going to be an even bigger power as the years go on. Without question.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we come back, NFL scouting combine, Pierre, who are you interested to hear the most about? This is the underwear Olympics. I think it gets made too big a deal of as far as like, whoa, look what this guy did. He ran in a straight line with nobody stopping him and no pads on.
I definitely have one name in mind. We will talk about that for sure.
All right.
I have one name in mind.
All right. We'll talk about that next. This is the Triple Option.
Fubo TV has the channels you love for half the cost of cable. Watch your teams live in 4K, plus entertainment for the whole family. Record to the cloud and watch anywhere. Try free at FuboTV.com.
You might ask yourself what functional mushrooms are good for. Whether it's lion's mane, cordyceps, turkey tail, shiitake, reishi, they all serve a purpose.
You have ones for neurological health, ones for sleeping and gut health and all these different areas. They pack a powerful punch.
Functional mushrooms are, of the millions of mushrooms and fungi out there, the ones that we can actually ingest and benefit from as humans.
Like all adaptogens, they kind of adapt to what you need at the time that you need them.
We don't even really know that we're suffering. We just don't quite feel right. That's where these adaptogens come in and really start to close the gap and really start getting us closer to how we want to feel.
Functional mushrooms have definitely re-energized me and helped me face each day with a new vigor for life.
Learn ways that functional mushrooms can help you. Go to getumbo.com.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in. Last week I noticed in the chat that there were some of you who might have heard rumors about some changes happening here. I will tell you, we've got big things happening. We're still in the very first part of it, but it's very exciting, Pierre. I've told you about some of these that we have going on, but it's very exciting. Some of the things are going to happen. I'm not sure when we're going to make like the official announcement or anything, but just know, especially if you're a person who's reticent to change, which I understand. Some people don't like change. Some people are like Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, and that new is always better. Like they're that. But if you're reticent to change, I can promise you all these changes will be for the better. They're all great. It's going to be great for I'm particularly excited for our staff, more so than me actually, because they're going to really get an opportunity to cut loose and run with their skill sets. So I'll just say we're growing. We're going to be growing, and so that's going to be good. I'm very excited about it. So yes, the rumors are true. Changes are coming. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what they are yet, though. Even though the ink's dry, I just don't know what our rollout plan is. I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet. It's only been like a week, so but. Yeah. So it's good. It's really cool stuff that is going on. It's going to be better for everybody, for our advertising partners, for our viewers, for us, for everybody. It's awesome. I'm so excited on what's going to go on. So, Pierre, I feel like you have a rant incoming on a player at the scouting combine. And I bet you I know who it is. And if it's not, I will be shocked because I know you well, my friend. I know you well.
Yeah.
And I think I know who it's going to be. So I will let you. Yes. I think it's Shadur.
Oh, well, actually, it's not. Funny
enough.
Wow. I don't have a problem. I know the news came down of him not working out at the combine and things of that nature. I don't really necessarily have a problem with that. And it's not so much this player that I'm excited to see them at the combine because I've already seen what they can do on the football field in Division I football, and this individual does it very well. But to me, probably the most intriguing player in the draft, for me, I'm just speaking for myself, is Tyler Warren. The guy can just line up anywhere on the field. I'm super excited to see how they're going to use him at the NFL level because you go line him up inside, outside, and the backfield if you want. I mean, I'm curious to see if Tyler Warren will even get some handoffs in the NFL because the guy just can be used in so many different ways. And we got to chance to see him up close and personal, when Penn State came to Minnesota earlier in the season, and he was absolutely sensational in that game as well as he is in every single game pretty much that he played all season long. But Tyler Warren, to me, is the guy that I'm so fascinated by because he's just such a unique talent. To me, he has the feel, especially in this year's class. To me, he has the feelings of a top 5 talent in this class, but he won't go top 5. Will he go top 10? Will he go where? How high does he go? How low does he fall? That to me, I think is the great mystery. I don't see him falling any past the middle of the first round, but I just think that I just love watching the guy play football. I do. I think he's just so dynamic and so unique. I can't wait to see him at the NFL level.
Yeah, no, he's one of my favorite guys too. And here's the thing that scares me though. He's probably going to go to a team that I hate.
Yeah.
Like a team that I like it's going to directly affect, the Cowboy. Like, I don't think the Cowboys are going to draft him because it's not one of their, it's one of the things they can get by with not really addressing this offseason. Everything else they need to. And plus he'll be drafted in the top 15. The Cowboys are at 12. I'm hoping that's Ashton Genty. But and I'm going to will that into existence.
I know you are.
Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com a few years ago willed Micah Parsons into his existence. So I feel like it's my turn. It's my turn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna will him into existence.
Well, the Miami Dolphins are sitting there at 13, and even though I know if the logic is we're not going to draft Tyler Warren because we have Jonnu Smith, I'm just going to tear my hair out. But at the same time, too, there are much more pressing needs, in my opinion, for that team. If you pass on Tyler Warren to select somebody in the trenches, I can live with that. I think.
So you're not going to pick a guard that early in the.
I don't know if Tyler Cooper goes that early. I don't think he'd go that early, but there's news on both sides.
Who I would be thrilled with if I was a Dolphins fan is Kelvin Banks, tackle from Texas.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna. I mean, he could play tackle. I think they're probably gonna I shouldn't say probably, but I think he has the ability to kick into guard.
Yeah.
As well. Ariante Ursary is another guy too here at the University of Minnesota who played great left tackle for a minute. And once the numbers come out on him, I think his name's actually going to rise a little bit once they see the physical tools that he's capable. That's a guy who played left tackle, but I think could also kick into guard. So, guard play. It's hard to feel excited about drafting a guard in the top 15, but a need is a need. And boy, do the Dolphins need guard in a bad way.
One of the things we're going to do before the draft is there are mock draft engines now that you can do your own mock draft on.
Yeah.
Which I do quite a bit. It's a good little time. I like to do it for every team because it helps me in this job learn things I wouldn't have learned or look people up I wouldn't have looked up before. And I use a couple different services because people have different rankings and opinions, and sometimes some people will have some guy in there and some people won't. Pro Football Focus is the most popular one. I don't like that one.
Okay.
I don't approve of Chris Collinsworth and his snooty ass rankings. Or like it's backwards. Like it's really backwards. Like he'll have Graham Mertz is going to be one of his top 10 quarterbacks. I promise you that. And he's not that. Like there's 15 guys I would take before Graham Mertz, and 2 of them were like option quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I remember we did a version of this last year. I remember that we did a version of this, and I do remember that in the second round, it might have been the end of the first, maybe it was the first. No, I think it was the second round. In the second round, I did say I would like to see the Miami Dolphins to take Braden Fisk. But what do I know? What do I know?
I knew it. So what I will do is I will get a group of us together.
Yeah.
And for example, I'm gonna, I'll get a Texans guy. I'll do the Cowboys. I'll get Q to do the Raiders. All these things. We'll get all that, and then we will do a whole big. We'll call it. Let's do a 3-round mock draft.
Okay.
We'll do the first 3 rounds, days 1 and 2. Day 3, it's. If you've been to a draft, Pierre, I know. When you're there on day 3 of the draft, there's not much. There's a lot more going on around than there is up there. There's not because it just goes so fast. So what you do is if you're at the draft as a fan or as a media member, you just walk around and see every cool thing that's going on.
Yeah.
And then occasionally you look up and you're like, oh, okay, that's a good pick for Baltimore. Good. That's crafty. Like, oh yeah, I don't know. That guy fell. Like Baltimore got him. They know what they're doing.
Day three is filled with oh my God, how did this guy get down this low? Oh, what a steal. This guy could be the sleeper of the draft. All of those narratives just have so much fun on day 3 of the draft.
Yeah. But days 1 and 2 is what we'll focus on because those are the ones that you really got to nail down.
Right.
So I'll make sure that we have all 32 teams covered. We'll do it live, like on a StreamYard. We'll feed it in, and then we'll go. We'll make trades and all those things and see how it goes. Maybe we do that like a week before.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. Something I've wanted to do for a long time. I think I trust Garrett with the Commanders.
I give it a shot. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll send you the link, Garrett. You can mess around with it.
Okay, I'll get down with it.
You can mess around with it and create what you want. Now,
we have to have an over/under number of LSU players that Garrett would draft in any given draft. I mean, it's got to be.
Well, I mean, he's going to have 3 spots, so one of those probably.
Yeah, I'll at least one.
Yeah.
At least I was thinking of if he had a full 7 rounds, if just for the sake of argument, if he had a pick in every round, we'd have to set the over under at 3.5.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want Jaden Daniels. Sorry, I was doing college football stuff earlier. You want Jaden Daniels to feel comfortable. You want him to be happy.
Of course.
What better way than getting his buddies there?
Yeah, get Mason Taylor, replace Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Second or third round sitting right there for you. So
kind of a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah. And nephew of a person who's getting sued.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
A serious sports journalist at that.
Oh boy.
Serious about it.
Oh boy.
And if you don't believe me, check out her Instagram.
I mean, it
is all serious sports content and nothing else.
There is I'm still waiting to hear the other side of this story as that goes along. I'm very curious to know.
Our business is aflutter.
Yeah.
With what happened there, and not even with her in particular. That to me is the side dish to this.
Sure.
Actually, I should not have said that when I'm talking about. I should not have said that at all when I'm talking about this. I meant no ill will on that.
Right.
Side dish, not the right term for her role in this. Or at least, I mean, it is, but it's not. That was probably accidentally inappropriate. I really, really want to know about Skip Bayless.
Oh, man.
I mean, just
that's a can of worms that I don't know if the world is ready for.
Oh, I can't wait. here's the thing, because there's going to be a lot of depositions in this, and there's two kinds of people who will be deposed in this. There's going to be people, and look, nothing may come out about it. We may get a settlement and no one will know.
Sure.
Which was probably what Fox wants. But
oh yeah.
But if it does come out, here's the thing. There's going to be people who get deposed who don't want to say anything about anything. Like, oh, well, not in my experience, blah, blah, blah. And then there's going to be other people who didn't necessarily get harassed by Skip Bayless, like this lady alleges to have been, but who hate his guts, who are like, oh, you want to know another thing? You want to know another thing? Let me tell you this. And those are what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
As an employee of the company, I don't really know, what more I can really say at this point too. But I mean, it's been a story that has a lot of people's attention. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you. I keep forgetting.
No. Hey, this got nothing to do with me. I don't know anything at this point.
No. But again, a lot of serious sports journalists wrapped up in this. Very serious sports journalists and influencers. But anyway, back to the combine real quick. Yeah. We'll take our next break and then we'll talk about the challenge. Or no, we'll skip the break and we'll just talk about the challenge in a minute. But no, I'm very curious. Like I want to see how some of those guys, like the guys at the top, you kind of know what's going to go on there. It's the guys, like you mentioned, Ariante Irsay. Like, I'm very curious about him. Wyatt Milam from West Virginia is a guard who's just a road grader, just an absolute mauler. Actually, I think about, like, he's got a stat that's very similar. So Zach Martin retired last week.
Yep.
And Zach Martin, Walter Sharp Football, great follow. Has a lot of great numbers.
By the way, right? He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He should be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on who else is there,
right? Maybe not year. First ballot, but he is a Hall of Fame caliber guard.
He might wind up being first ballot because he's an All Pro every year, but like the last two, in his career. So either first or second team. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Can I ask you, because I remember, if memory serves me right, do you recall who they drafted? They took Zach Martin instead of
Johnny Manziel. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Right, yes.
I was one of those people who was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And part of it was just because, like, oh, I want to see this train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think all of the NFL universe wanted to see that train wreck 100%.
Yeah. That's where they're like, Jerry, we're going to take your little Belvedere vodka away from you right now.
Yeah.
We're going to take it away. We're going to take it away. You can't have another one until after we pick.
Right.
After we pick, you can have as much as you want. But after this one, and they're like, oh, let's pick the future first ballot Hall of Famer as opposed to a guy that we're going to move like way closer to his favorite cocaine dealer.
What an astounding, exhibit of good judgment that in that moment that was. Because, I mean, everybody, I think, wanted to see the Cowboys take Johnny Manziel. But
Romo was still in his prime, too.
Yeah,
so it would have been silly. And then they got Dak a couple years later anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, it all worked out as great as things can work out for that organization as it stands right now, So, but, so Zach Martin, in his entire career, every passing down of his entire career, never had an accepted holding penalty his entire career.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You would think it would happen on accident too, like with a bad call. Maybe they just got the number wrong or something like that. That is absolutely unreal to me. That's unreal.
So that means that for 12 years, 13 seasons, whatever it was, he never got beat bad enough to have to hold somebody. So, that doesn't mean he wasn't holding. He was just better at it than everybody else.
Yeah.
But usually when the elites get holding penalties, like if you see Landon Johnson, what's his name? Yeah. Lane Johnson or Landon Dickerson from the Eagles. If you see Lane Johnson getting a holding penalty.
Well, he's playing tackle, yeah.
Yeah, but if you see Lane Johnson get a holding penalty, if you see one of those guys, it's because they got beat and they just reach out and they hope they don't get caught. That's what happens. That means that he never got beat so bad enough that he had to go out and grab it.
Yeah.
That's how good that was.
I would love to do a little digging. I'd have to think. I mean, one of the best guards that I can think of, of recent memory, Steve Hutchinson, who was also inducted. I'd have to go look it up, but I can't imagine that he went his entire career without a holding penalty. I can't imagine it.
Yeah.
And, he's a Hall of Fame type talent. To not have a holding penalty, that is insane, Paul. It's insane to think about it that way. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm excited to see those guys. I'm excited to see some of the running backs in the middle. Like, I want to see Cam Scadaboo and, like, people go like, oh, no, this is not a fluke. This guy's really something special.
Right.
Devin Neal from Kansas. Pay attention to that name. He's a guy I think that could sneak in there and do some things. Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, and I'm leaning heavily on the Big 12 right now because they had a lot of great running backs. Taj Brooks rushed for 100 yards in every single game this year but one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so they have a wide open offense there with Zach Kitley, but still, like, every one but one, he had 100 yards this year. So that's not something that happens all that often. And maybe a little overshadowed by the fact that Cam Scadaboo was in the league and then Ollie Gordon was coming back, even though he didn't have a great year. Ollie Gordon, I'm seeing him listed, he's still a top 100 player by most people's estimations, but it's like they forgot about what happened a year ago, and then the offensive line was worse, and all of a sudden Ollie Gordon's forgotten about. Dude, he's there. Like, you can get Ollie Gordon in the late third round, and all of a sudden you've got a bell cow back. So that's the position I'm looking forward to the most is running back for sure.
They say that this year could break a record in terms of number of running backs that are drafted this year. And like you say, you're focused on Big 12. For me in the Big 10 too, I mean, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa is a more than capable back too. And we got to see actually Omari Hampton was here the first game of the season when North Carolina played Minnesota, and he ran all over Minnesota. He was just absolute dynamic type talent. Those two names right there, middle rounds, I think, are going to be great value picks. And Caleb Johnson, it's like, I feel like Caleb Johnson has another level that he can get to. He feels like one of those backs that, like, you have all the talent in the world, but are you going to be able to unlock it all when you get to the pro level? I think I'm curious about him, but I think he's got so much talent that I think he'll be able to figure it out in the NFL.
Yeah. All right, let's talk challenge here.
Yeah.
Pierre. I'm very entertained by this old people rival season.
Yes.
Although, I think Devin and Leroy, if they don't get clipped here somehow, are going to walk away with this thing.
Right.
I think, or Amber and Fessy, like, those are the two teams I think are easily the strongest.
Yeah.
And if they just stand in each other's way, they'll both be in the finals.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And there's all these really crappy people who aren't in shape that are trying to figure out, how do we beat these people? And you can't. Like, you cannot do it.
What I'm enjoying the most so far about this season, even though, I've loved the All-Star seasons because it's brought back some of the faces that you haven't seen in some time. And that's what it's for. It's All-Stars. It's people that we loved back in the day, 20 years ago. I wasn't keen on this season because we have too many new faces on this season, like Corey and Big T, and that bothered me. It really did. But I get people might not be available at a certain time. But the thing that I'm loving the most so far about this season is watching Frank, who we have not seen in some time. I believe he said 12 years. It's been 12 years since we've seen Frank on a show. I am loving watching Frank just absolutely. You can see it stewing. You know that he hates being partners with Sam because she is just a terrible competitor, and he wants to win so bad, but he's doing he's exuding every bit of energy to try to keep himself calm. And that's not going to last. He will erupt at some point because he just can't help himself. So I can't wait to see that moment finally rear its ugly head when All-Stars 5 continues.
Yeah. I can't wait because there's going to be a breaking point. I'm also, is it wrong that, like, when these people, like, realize they had stupid petty differences and they're, like, friends all of a sudden, I'm like, well, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, what's supposed to happen now?
Exactly. I mean, you're rivals for a reason. It's fun. Amber and Fessy were both at Challenge Mania that I went to over the weekend. Amber's an absolute delight. She's just so kind, so nice. And when you look at them two next to each other, it's like, boy, this is going to be a really hard team to beat. Really hard team to beat. The thing that might trip them up maybe is a puzzle Fessy doesn't love the eating competition. He didn't do well with that back in, I think it was Double Agents in the Double Agents final, if I'm not mistaken. But that's going to be a really hard team to beat. Really hard team to beat.
Yeah. They're both really good. And like, it's never made sense to me why he didn't like her.
Yeah. I don't understand it either. I really don't.
It's never made sense to me why nobody does. Or like
in my very brief interaction with her, she just seemed just so pleasant and so kind. I don't understand why anybody would have any hate toward Amber. The other guy
was Chauncey there?
What's that?
Was Chauncey there?
Chauncey was not there. No, Chauncey was probably taking care of their daughter, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Who
else was there?
So it was Fessy, Mark Long, Amber, Paulie was there. And we also had Melinda Collins from Real World Austin, who was subbing in for Derek Kaczynski. I have a feeling that Derek Kaczynski did not make it because I think he might be off shooting something. He could be. I think something might be on the horizon with him. But Melinda Collins was there from Real World Austin, who I thought I had offended for a moment, but I think that turned out to be the case. And Tyler Duckworth, who was a member of the Real World Key West cast, who also won Rivals with Johnny Bananas. He's a 2-time champion. He was great too. Found out that he used to be a Care 11 intern, the NBC affiliate here in town. He used to be an intern for the TV station here. So
really, okay,
yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, He had just wrapped around on an All-Star season.
All-Stars 2, I believe he was on.
Yeah. So All-Star season. So I know there's a lot of older people in the chat that have no idea what we're talking about, but
I know.
This is one of the things that you and I do discuss.
Yes.
And so for this season, I'm all for Devin and Leroy and Amber and Fessy. I'm all about that. Like I'm very entertained by Turbo and Nani.
That's the team that I'm kind of like deep down. I'm like, I would like to see them win a little bit because
the thing is that I think Devin and Leroy will split the money, right?
Yes.
I think Amber and I think Fessy's too nice of a guy, even though I think he got painted with that brush a little differently.
Right.
I think especially since Amber's got a kid, there's no way that he's built that way to not share the money. But with Nani and Turbo, whoever gets to make that choice, they're not sharing the money.
I would love to see that too. I'm also curious to see how everything plays out with Ashley and Dario, who both have not seen them in a long time. Former lovers. Ashley, who I believe was, or I don't want to get my facts wrong, but I believe has a child with former NFL running back Kerryon Johnson.
Okay.
So that's an interesting little sports twist to the whole thing as well.
Okay. She's had too much work done. She looks too different.
Hey, I mean,
I'm more concerned about this work.
I mean, the upkeep as you get older, as I can tell you, it just gets harder and harder.
Pierre, I get it. Look, I'm older than you are. You just joined the 40 club.
I did.
You just did. I'm about to be 5 years in.
Oh boy.
I'm about to be halfway through this shit.
Yeah. It's fun sometimes, every once in a while, when you think to yourself, "Oh, my life is about half over." That's cool.
Every day past April 19th of this year, I will be closer to 50 than I am to 40.
Yeah, that's
right now. I'm still closer to 40 than I am to 50. But that rapidly ticking clock.
You're hanging on for dear life.
Yes. Yeah. I'm about to be Sally O'Malley, 50 years old.
What a phenomenal sketch that is.
Yeah.
God.
Did you watch any of the SNL 50?
I you know what? I didn't, but I am going to go back. I'm off today. That's one on my to-do list. It is. Yeah. I'm going to go on. I've got Peacock. That's absolutely on my to-do list today.
You got to watch. I've not finished all the documentaries yet. I've watched the first two.
Yeah.
And it's all of it's great. It's just really, they have a whole documentary about cowbell.
Oh.
Just about that sketch. And it's great.
I saw that Eddie Murphy and Will Ferrell were in a sketch together, and I said,
yes.
I cannot miss
it's Eddie. Listen, Eddie Murphy, Keenan, Will Ferrell, and Sudeikis all together. all together.
That's on my to-do list today. Trust me.
That's a dream team right there.
Oh yeah,
that's a dream team. So,
Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Pierre Noujaim, Fox 9, Minneapolis. We'll see him next Monday. This is the triple option.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at